BXG podcast. Oh, good grief. Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as professional grievances in Warner Brother media. I am one of your hosts. Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, Ray Fisher. How you doing tonight, Ray?
I'm mad, as always. I'm stressed, and that's actually how I am.
Greg
I'm
Felsen,
okay.
By the way.
Yeah.
Obviously not Ray Fisher.
That'd be weird if we got Ray Fisher. If he wants to come on, though, he's more than welcome to. We'd have him on.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Ray Fisher. I'm okay. It's been a stressful week, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. I got my vintage Jordan jersey on. Just wanted to say that I see a lot of people out there with those like fake jerseys, which I respect to some degree. This bad boy is from 1992. It's a child-sized large, extra large, and it fits me fine. So I just want to point that out. I wore it for you because we were talking about child sizes the other day, and there we go. So I got my Jordan jersey on. I'm ready to rock. I'm not, Jordan's the best ever.
When it comes summer more and it's hotter all the time here in Western Pennsylvania, we'll have to do an episode where you wear that one and I wear my adult 2X Jordan that I barely fit.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what makes me mad? And this is just gonna be a quick rant. Is I had so many basketball jerseys as a kid. I had like the Vince Carter with the Raptor, the actual Raptor, and I had a Stephon Marbury Timberwolves jersey. I had a Rodman jersey, I think. I had a lot of jerseys, and I got rid of them because you're like, well, you never wear jerseys ever again.
Right.
And then you move to California where like people just wear jerseys as clothes.
Right.
And it's hot because it's Southern California. It's like I really wish I had more of these jerseys.
Right.
So that's a bummer for me. And I'm not spending $200 for Mitchell and Ness Vince Carter jerseys. So this is where I'm at. That jersey was awesome. I had the purple one. And that's freaking cool. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. Jerseys are still cool. Wear them if you have them.
One Christmas I asked for a Gary Payton jersey and I want to say Damon Stoudemire Grizzlies jersey.
Grizzlies, whoa.
Yeah. And Gary Payton Sonics. And Mom came through with Bryant Reeves and Vin Baker. So I quit asking for jerseys.
Well, Bryant Reeves.
Quit asking for basketball
country.
jerseys after that.
Big country. Bryant Reeves. Oklahoma State, I believe. Oklahoma State for Bryant Reeves.
Yeah. Final Four legend. March Madness legend.
Final Four legend, yeah.
Yeah, big.
What jersey, if you had to take someone now, excluding like LeBron.
Right.
I mean, I have a LeBron Lakers jersey, but what current NBA star would be like, I'd wear that jersey and feel okay with it? Not even a star, just somebody.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I feel like this like LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
I would rock a Hornets LaMelo Ball jersey.
Those Hornets jerseys are cool, and he's cool.
Right.
And also very good at basketball.
Yeah.
Much better than people anticipated.
Yeah, agreed on that. Dame Lillard also would be a candidate. I like the bright color jerseys. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like
I think you'd be shocked. Tyler Hero is a jersey.
That doesn't surprise me actually in the slightest.
No,
that not even a little bit.
Right.
You'd probably like the Miami Vice one too, like those gnarly.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would wear. I'm not saying one way or the other whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero Miami Vice jersey slaps if I'm wearing it.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Paul, maybe the orange one, the Orange Suns jersey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll go Shea Gilgeous-Alexander too.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would go.
Luka Doncic. Definitely.
Yeah, Luka. That 77 is such a cool number. If they did the old 90s, if I could get a 90s Dallas jersey,
green ones,
but Luka, the green ones, yeah, exactly. That with, that's a jersey right there.
Jersey culture.
Yeah, jersey culture, man.
Yeah. This is a podcast, though, about pop culture and nerd culture.
Whatever.
Housekeeping. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, other podcast services around the globe. Official social media accounts, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B. Twitter at BXG Podcast. YouTube.com/BXG Podcast, where you can catch some different videos. Last week was, of course, Greg's reaction to getting roasted by Wes Bergman from the challenge via a cameo from our listener, John Kish. So we appreciate that from him. Episode 29 was a big one overall. We had Eddie McDonald from the Petty Eddie podcast come on to do a WrestleMania preview, which was real timely because WrestleMania was this past weekend. We did the Godzilla vs. Kong review. The video for that's over on the YouTube page. And of course, as I mentioned, Greg getting real sweaty when he received a cameo from Wes Bergman of the challenge.
Very funny.
It was very fun. The whole episode is on there in audio, and then obviously the video segments. Couple fun things coming up. Thursday we're going to be on Tournament Style. We don't know what the tournament's going to be. That's with our friend Guillermo that was on back in February. We're going to be hopping over there. We don't know what the tournament's going to be. I want to know in advance. Greg doesn't. It's probably just going to be complete chaos. Next Thursday we're going to record April's extra episode for the month. It's going to be our top 10 animated movies. I'm actually really looking forward to this one as far as that goes. And, obviously we're going to encourage listeners to submit some of their favorite animated movies from whenever. It doesn't have to be from you. I think people think of cartoon movies or animated movies as being from their childhood, but there's plenty of good adult, themed cartoon movies. Or
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. So we'll put that on the social media and try to submit or solicit some lists there. The social media scoreboard. John Kish killed it. I mean, he killed it with a cameo. So he's got 13 points right now. EJT with 1, Jared L with 1. There's going to be some points scored either way on the most recent question, which was, is Sharon Carter the power broker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Because we had 2 no's and we had 2 yeses. So somebody's going to score some points on that.
And if you want to get points like Kish did, get us a cameo by anyone that we talk about. I mean, preferably Nani.
She's not on right now.
That's right.
And the reason I know this is because I was going to get one from her for your birthday.
That would have been terrific.
Yes, obviously. It's not a correction or a clarification, but we looked up to see what the prices of the Lil Nas X Satan shoes on eBay. The highest one has sold right now for $10,000.
I saw earlier, this morning, it was
6,000,
right?
Yeah, $5,000.
$5,000. Mm-hmm. That's it. And then it shot up again.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah. I'm just going to check real quick to see if it's jumped up even more.
Probably.
I think I checked it yesterday or last night. Okay. It's just, I don't know why it's just easier to do on the app than the...
a lot of things are just made for the app.
Than the actual website. This is not an advertisement for the eBay app. But if eBay wants to give... Yeah, $10,000 still the highest. So there was that. We have a great episode tonight. We've got our 6-pack of topics. I'm really excited about a couple of these topics because they're kind of deep dives into a couple of articles from the past week on a couple different things. We have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got the challenge. We have movie wrap up, which is becoming a regular thing, which is fun. And then, of course, quick hitters. But number 1 is Chris Terrio, the writer of Batman vs. Superman and the Justice League. Breaks his silence in an interview with Vanity Fair. Chris Terrio, the writer of both Batman vs. Superman and the Dawn of Justice and the Justice League, gave an interview with Vanity Fair about the struggles of writing those 2 particular movies. Terrio, who won an Oscar for the screenplay of Argo, spoke of the struggles working with Warner Brothers and the difficult process in general. In the interview, he says the 2017 cut of the Justice League was an act of vandalism. Snyder Zach may be too much of a gentleman to say it, but I am not. Excuse me. He went on to say much of the criticism that was lobbed at Batman versus Superman was that the story was incoherent, and he responded that when cuts were made to the movie to make it shorter, they were made to the narrative aspects rather than the special media effect or the special effects, which are far more expensive to shoot edit and put together. There were complaints that Batman vs. Superman was too dark. The studio kind of blamed his writing for that, but the writer pushed back at certain aspects that the studio wanted. For example, the studio, Warner, had Batman branding Lex Luthor at the end of the film. Terrio is quoted as saying he was saving them from themselves. With regards to the Justice League, a few particular exchange in the interview stood out. After the question was, after Batman vs. Superman came out, the critical reaction was negative, and the box office was underwhelming. Justice League was about to begin shooting. What was the atmosphere like? Terrio responded by saying there was a mood of fear at the studio. No doubt, my impression was that the people in the boardroom started making the decisions, and the were decisions based on arbitrary metrics that had nothing to do with the stories that were being told. So let's just, before we get into some of the other questions and answers, why don't we just kind of stop right there and unpack all of that.
I would just say this episode is brought to you by people being pissed off.
Yeah,
tonight.
That's probably...
That is one thing. In pretty much everything except for one. But yeah, this was crazy. Reading this interview, I will always say I think Vanity Fair is the upper echelon of writing and interviewing. So that is what I'll say. Right?
I always thought that they just sold pants.
Yeah, you would think that, but no. Vanity Fair is incredible. Everything they do. They had an Army Hammer piece. I just think people need to go out. Vanity Fair.
Was it like
Army
his
Hammer.
favorite flesh recipes?
No, it's about his family history,
it
is crazy. So I just want to point that out. And there's an Anne Hathaway story in there. There's really that's from like 2008 or something. But yeah. Vanity Fair, this doesn't surprise me at all that they were able to get this. I just love how open he was.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. He didn't give two craps at all. None. He didn't give three. He was just all about this. He wanted to let this happen. So, yeah, I mean, that was the biggest takeaway. I literally just finished reading it, too, and it was just like, holy cow. He's just like, they were terrible. And everything they did was the exact wrong thing you do with everything. Everything.
Yeah, and I think that some of what he says in the interview, and again, you can catch this over it's vanityfair.com. It's probably it's vanityfair.com/Hollywood/2001/04 Chris Terrio. Just, you don't have to Google all that. Just Google Chris Terrio Vanity Fair and it'll pop up.
Yeah, you'll find it.
It'll pop up. But a lot of, he talked pretty extensively that they brought him in because things weren't going well. He worked with Ben Affleck on Argo. He won an Oscar for that screenplay.
Argo, fuck yourself.
Argo, fuck yourself. They talked about how he was kind of brought in as Ben Affleck's guy to do some character work, and he ended up basically rewriting the whole movie. He said that he worked very well with Zack Snyder. And he worked very well with the actors. They talked, I didn't include it in our write-up, but he talked very extensively in the Justice League section of the interview that Ray Fisher came to his house and stayed with him. And then they went on these lengthy walks where they just kind of discussed not only the importance of developing this character, but the importance of developing a main screen black superhero, because Black Panther had not come out yet. So there wasn't this whole thing, and it's kind of a shame looking back at it, because if the Cyborg story had been told the correct way, the way that it was in the Snyder Cut, in the actual theatrical version, and marketed that way, you almost wonder if it would have been as big of a deal, or if they would have stolen some of the thunder from Marvel in regards to how big Black Panther was. So that was pretty interesting. Couple of the other questions the interviewer asked. So Zack Snyder shot your version of the script. What happened after his family crisis led him to leave the project, and Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon to rewrite and reshoot? Terrio said, when the movie was taken away, that felt like it was some directive that had come from people who are neither filmmakers nor film friendly. The directive to make the movie under 2 hours, regardless of what the movie needed to do, and to make the colors brighter and to have funny sitcom jokes in it. So that's really interesting, and I want everybody to keep this in mind for a story that we get to, or one of the sixth pack that we get to down the line in a little bit, I want you to keep in mind those two phrases, neither filmmakers nor film friendly. Just keep that in mind. Just store that in your back pocket. Okay. But it's funny in a way that, he so blatantly describes many of the issues that are very apparent in the 2017 version, the sitcom jokes, the color palette that they chose to use, the under 2 hours. What do you think? What do you think about that?
It's weird to me that there was such a restraint on these movies when Marvel didn't have any of these restraints. Marvel, I understand that you don't want to be like Marvel in a sense of like doing, but then they're trying to be the exact opposite. It just felt like it didn't feel like there was an adult in the room. When you read his description of what they were going through, it's like, well, we want to have these under 2 hours. It's like, who are they trying to appeal to? Because like these are like DC movies that are just ostensibly gonna be darker movies, no matter what you try to do with them. But then they try to be funny, and then so the fact that they were so restrained in their filmmaking, it's like, what I don't think they had an idea of what they were trying to make, which is kind of what he's pointing out. He's like, well, everything we were trying to do, they didn't want us to do. I just don't know. And we've said this before when we talk about DC things. I don't think there's any clear path. Like, they have this thing where they're like, we want it under 2 hours, but we also want them to be kind of like Marvel movies, but we also want them to not be Marvel movies.
Right.
So what is going on? I think that's, when I read this, I actually got more confused by like what they want, because, it's actually laughable. I honestly think that you could put you and me in this room and figure out what the heck to make these movies more than they're doing, because it's just been really disappointing overall. And then you watch the Snyder Cut and you're like, yeah, it was 4 hours long and you had to watch it in a certain, we didn't watch it all in one shot, but you're like, that was a better movie.
So I think this is where I've kind of landed on all of this after reading this and listening to everything that Zack Snyder has had to say and listening to everything that Ray Fisher has to say, and all of it was just a bad marriage from Man of Steel on. And what I mean by that is Warner Brothers wanted their own version of the MCU. Okay. So they hired somebody who makes like action movies. He made 300 and he made Watchmen, right? So they hired Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder doesn't make hero movies. Zack Snyder makes Zack Snyder movies. And so Zack Snyder made Zack Snyder movies that happen to be about these characters. Whereas the suits at Warner Media wanted basically Marvel. They wanted Marvel with the characters that they own the intellectual property for. And I think that's why they brought in Joss Whedon, because they said, all right, you did Avengers, make this Avengers. But the issue was this was never like, on the surface, it's Batman versus Superman, right? But this is just, all it really is it's a Zack Snyder man.
I like it.
It's a Zack Snyder movie that Batman and Superman just happen to be the principal characters of.
Right.
It's a Zack Snyder movie that the Justice League happens to be the principal characters of. He's not making superhero movies. He's making Zack Snyder movies. And we've said this, we've made the joke, Zack Snyder deserves his own Instagram filter, right? He makes Zack Snyder movies. He makes Zack Snyder movies the same way that Christopher Nolan makes Christopher Nolan movies. Do you know what I mean? And so
it's weird to me that they have these, Warner Brothers has the Christopher Nolan movies where they let him do what he wants. Mm-hmm. Then they move this different direction where like they want to be the MCU.
Right.
I don't know, because like those Dark Knight movies are not the MCU kind of movies at all. They're Christopher Nolan movies that just happen to have Batman in them. And they're awesome, and everyone knows they're awesome.
I think the difference between the Nolan take on Batman and the Snyder take on the DC stuff is that Christopher Nolan's stuff is grounded in reality, but it's still light enough that you can sell toys with it and Happy Meal toys and so on and so forth.
I guess.
Whereas with Zack Snyder's not selling any toys. Like that's not his objective. He's making his movie. You know what I mean?
I don't, in a way, like those dark movies were dark. Like ostensively they are like shrouded in the you look at the actual The Dark Knight with the Joker is pretty terrifying most of that movie. And if you actually if you're watching that with like someone that has no background on these movies, which would be weird, but if you did, that's a pretty messed up movie. Yeah, I mean, this is literally
but Batman's
a guy
not branding anyone. Like he's not branding anyone. That's the difference.
I guess that's the biggest difference. I guess that the hero isn't scary.
Right.
That would be the biggest difference. But that Joker is.
Yeah, sure.
Heath Ledger's Joker is the baddest badass ever in a movie. I mean, I think most people kind of think that way. He's pretty great as like a pretty gnarly dude.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, Darth Vader to me is a different kind of badass, though.
Moving on.
Darth Vader has a turn. There's no turn with the Joker. That's just where I'm going with that. Like, Darth Vader at his peak is the best.
All right.
But there's no turn with the Joker. There's never a turn with the Joker.
As you kind of alluded to, there was, it seems like there was no plan in place for all of this, that they were just kind of throwing things against the wall and hoping it stuck. And he actually went on in the interview to describe the difficulties of writing for the characters of Wonder Woman and Aquaman when their solo movie scripts were not yet complete. And the studio had mandated a certain release order of the films, which, as most people know, it went Batman versus Superman, then Wonder Woman, and then Justice League. He didn't have the finished Wonder Woman script to work with to be able to develop her character for Justice League. Finally, I found this exchange to be extremely telling. The interviewer asked, "When did you watch Whedon's version of Justice League?" Mr. Chorio said, "I was in LA at the time working on Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. My sympathies, brother. I was on the west side of LA working with J.J. Abrams at the time, and I drove to the studio and I sat down and watched it a couple weeks before the release. I immediately called my lawyer and said I want to take my name off the film. The lawyer then called Warner Brothers and told them that I wanted to do that." Now, ultimately, he goes through like the fact that he kind of rescinded that request because of how much of a pain in the ass it would have been.
Right.
And like I said, you can read that. But this is the man who wrote this movie, who has the writing credit for this movie.
Yeah.
And he's saying, take my name off of it.
I don't want anything to do with it.
I don't want anything to do with it. Right. Yeah, right. And that was the other thing that he talked about, was that, the Snyder Cut was his movie, was his script. And he said, I will accept people's criticism for that, good, bad, or indifferent, because it's an actual critique of my work. Whereas the 2017 version it's not his movie. It's not his script.
This is just going to go into, as a writer, once you're a writer, always writer. I'm not a writer right now, I guess, to whatever degree. But I actually had this happen one time where I wrote a story, and I won't say where I worked, but it was in a colder place than I live now, and a northern place where I live now. So that could be anywhere. But my editor did not like how it portrayed someone, even though I wrote it correctly. I wrote it as you write a story, and I said, I don't want my name on this because it's not my story. You can do whatever you want with it, but I don't want my name on it. And then she said, well, you're not going to get writing credit for my week, and you have so many things and whatever. And I said, I don't care. So I understand where he's coming from. Like, when you see something change so much, and then they're like going to do this, and it's easier with the newspaper to take your name off. You literally just say delete. But I get that, and it's frustrating because you're like, I can't believe that my name would be part of something like this garbage and stuff like that. I feel bad that he felt that way. I feel bad that like Warner they were just so weird with him with all this, and you wish. I mean, I don't want all these movies to come back and be like, this is the cut that should have been made, and they're all 4 hours long.
Right.
I just wish that these movies could have just been made the way that the movie should have been made in the first place, at 2.5 to 3 hours,
right,
which they all would have been probably, and then we could have seen those. And do I think they would have been the MCU? No. I don't think so. There's no way. but I bet we all look at them way differently than we look at them now.
Well, even the the Batman versus Superman was 2.5 hours long, and there is some issues with the story in that movie. But if you watch the ultimate cut or the director's cut or whatever, and it's 3 hours long, it actually makes sense.
Sure.
So I guess, that's my thing. And I hope that in the long run, Warner kind of learns a lesson from this. They're under a lot of scrutiny right now, just not only because of the Snyder Cut and like the Ray Fisher allegations and things like that, but they're getting a lot of heat over cramming a bunch of weird cameos into the Space Jam movie. Most notably, they cut the Pepe Le Pew scene, but they put a cameo in from the Rapers from Clockwork Orange, or just floating around in there. Yeah. So # release the Pepe cut.
I want Pepe Le Pew. We want the Pepe cut.
Yep. Release the Pepe cut.
I also want Michael Jordan to be in this movie.
That'd be kind of cool if he made a cameo.
He has to make a cameo.
I bet he won't, though. You wonder what he thinks about it.
He doesn't care. You think Michael Jordan gives a crap? Like, he's on this kind of thing. Like, I mean, what'll funny? Somebody will ask him at some point, and he'll be just like, "Who's going to take the final shot?"
Me.
What are you talking about?
That's a dumb question. Me.
That's a dumb question. What movie's a better Space Jam? Mine.
Do you know what would be great if they made a third one and it was LeBron versus Michael, and Michael would win, because if anybody says they like the LeBron one more, just cue it up. Just cue the meme up. And I took that personally.
Yep. It'll be the crying Jordan, and then I took that personally.
Mm-hmm. Space Jam 3.
I'll count me in. That's the biggest movie ever. Not really, but that's like going to be, if they actually did a third one, it would be huge.
This Space Jam movie is going to be a train wreck.
I don't really care. The thing is with this movie, don't care. Think I'll enjoy it. Think I'll walk away with it. Fine. I'll watch. I am scared about all these extra cameos that are sort of frightening to me. But I like LeBron. I think LeBron is a good actor. He was in that Trainwreck movie, and he's actually the best part of that movie with other professional actors.
Right.
So I think he'll be good. I don't think it'd be a train wreck just because I trust the process.
What are you, Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I trust the process. I do have weird long arms. Could be, But we'll move on.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty of Warner Brothers. So we'll move on to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 4. I can't believe we're this far in. It kind of bums me out.
Yeah.
The world is watching. As the episode opens, we see Io of the Dora Milaje breaking Bucky of the hypnosis that turns him into the Winter Soldier. We resume in the present, and Bucky buys 8 hours of time with Zemo before the Wakandans come for him. Sam, Bucky, and Zemo ask around and turn up just in time at the location of the funeral service for Carly's mentor. They are joined against their judgment by Walker and Hoskins. Sam starts to talk to Carly alone, and we get some good exposition of her motives and how Sam believes she is doing the right thing, but going about it the wrong way, before Walker busts in on the scene and just pushes Carly off. The stash of serum winds up at the feet of Zemo during the confusion, and he smashes every vial but one, which is claimed by Walker, unbeknownst to the rest of the characters. That's very key. Walker and Hoskins burst into the hideout of the three primary protagonists and say it's time for Zemo to go. At that point, the Dora Milaje enter. I just like saying that. It's fun to say. Enter the fray, and the fight ensues between Walker, Hoskins, and the Royal Wakandan Guards. Johnny Walker, Blue Label, gets it handed to him, and he laments that they're not even super soldiers. Ugh. In the scrum, Zemo escapes and is presently accounted for.
Unaccounted.
The Flag Smashers.
Unaccounted for.
I'm sorry, presently unaccounted for. The Flag Smashers create a plan to divide Sam and Bucky from Private First Class America and his buddy Battlestar to kill Walker. Little do we know, since his dust up with the Dora Milaje, he is injected with this final vial of serum. That was tougher to say than I thought, and I rehearsed it. Bucky and Sam race to assist, and a big brawl takes place that ends with Battlestar being tossed rather forcefully into a pull beam, whatever, and being killed. Walker chases down the closest flag smasher out into the public and with a small army of camera phones pointed at him. He beats the man to death with the shield, and the episode ends as he lifts the shield covered in the blood of the man he just killed. Woo! Woo! What'd you think?
That was a great episode.
Holy,
top to bottom.
I got goosebumps just reading it.
Yeah, it was a great episode, top to bottom. They put out a
oh my god.
They put out a they put out a trailer for the last 2 episodes, and I don't want to watch it because I just
I saw it and
spoilers.
they tried automatically playing it on my YouTube, and I'm like, get it out of my face. Nope, none of it.
So just kind of if we go from the start, it was kind of neat to see, the Bucky being broken of his hypnosis in Wakanda. I guess I would have assumed that, if we're dealing with this just in the scope of the MCU as movies, that this would have been Shuri would have been the one who fixed him. I mean, she made the remark in Black Panther about fixing another broken white boy. Mm-hmm. So that kind of felt odd to me too, in that AO is not like the main person or the main one of the Dora Milaje. That would be Aoi. So like, this is just one of those things. Like I wonder originally if this was going to be a Chadwick Boseman cameo in this episode.
It wouldn't have shocked me. Yeah.
Because, he as the king went to Korea to get, God, why can't Andy Serkis, why can't I think of his name? Claw. Ulysses S. Claw. Wow.
Claw. Yeah.
Blanked on it. Andy Serkis character. He goes to Korea to get Claw. I would assume that the king of Wakanda would want specific vengeance for the death of his father. So I wonder if this was originally going to be a Chadwick Boseman cameo. But with that being said, and understandably that wasn't possible, it was cool to see this, as we said last week, it was cool to see the twist, the curveball that got thrown, that the Wakandans show up at all. Their fight scene was awesome. It always is. Their fight scenes are so good.
So cool.
It's just like the spears and everything just adds a different element. Aside from just like hand to hand or just knives, as Bucky says. Seriously, why does everybody have a knife? I was shocked. I was not expecting this. At the end of the day, this is a Disney thing. I wasn't expecting anybody to just kind of brutally die the way that Hoskins just gets chucked into that support beam, and he just, I don't know if his neck snapped or, he just, the force of it killed him.
His spine just snapped completely, I think is what it seemed like. That was gnarly.
Yeah. That was shocking. That was really shocking. I really
needed that though to make Walker
to tip him,
just super pissed, just tip him off the edge.
Yeah,
it was like the Batman thing where it's just like, how far does it have to go?
Right.
But in a Captain America sense.
Right. Yeah. I liked that we got a little bit of exposition to make Carly a more sympathetic character. They're telling us, she's the bad guy. She's the bad guy, when really we know that the bad guy is John Walker to a certain extent. I mean, he is an antagonist. This was like a complete heel turn, and the image of the shield being covered in blood at the end of the episode was just,
which is canon.
Right.
Just for people to know. Once again, I just want to point, I always like to point out when things are actually true to the comic books, just so nobody freaks out and be like, oh my God, Cap would never do this.
Right, sure.
These things happen. These things actually happen.
It really upsets me that Wyatt Russell is getting like all this like death threats and things like that online.
That's insane.
That's
He's an
so
actor,
stupid.
idiots. Yeah.
It's so dumb. Like, if you're one of these people who's doing this, like, seriously, fuck off. Like, I mean that just from the bottom of my soul. Just seriously go fuck yourself.
Same.
Because
you're the worst.
Like, oh, you're so married to this person as a character. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? It's so, like, here's the thing that's so disappointing about this to me is like you said, this is canon. Read a comic book. There's been like 7 Captain Americas.
This is the thing though, is that these people that are like losing their mind over this have never read a single Captain America comic book.
or any comic
And like,
book.
yeah, I love Chris Evans as Captain America. Like, I get it. I understand that part of it, but like, you do have to move on. This is what happens in the comic books too. And it's like, there's a reason, like the reason it works so well in the movies is because like you're supposed to love Chris Evans as Captain America. If he sucks and he's done being Captain America, no one cares.
Right.
That's why this works. The
other aspect of this is that he's a bad guy. Like, you're not supposed to like him.
You're not supposed to like him.
Right.
But
you're not supposed to like John Walker.
Which is telling you how good he's actually doing the acting. Which is another thing too. Like, he's actually being like a great actor at this. He's taking this character that you love and you're hating him.
Right.
But don't fucking threaten his life.
No, that's so stupid.
He's
seriously.
an actor. He's it's just he's Kurt Russell and he's Kurt Russell's son. We all love Kurt Russell.
That's the problem with the internet, man.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the problem with the best thing about the internet is that everybody has a voice, and the worst thing about the internet is that everybody has a voice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But this episode's amazing.
I'm going to tell you the number one reason why I thought it was great was they're getting down to what the story actually is.
Sure.
And like they've kind of jettisoned the buddy cop like back and forth. There was very little humor in this. There's a little bit, but
there's a little bit. They're doing what you want, though. It's like what happened is they were placating to people that wanted the buddy cop,
right?
And they had time to afford that. They're just like, we can do this and still tell a story because they were still telling a story to some degree. But now they're like, okay, now we're the MCU, and you're gonna get a little buddy cop, but here's our storyline, and they actually do it seamlessly,
right?
They're not forcing this. They're not like, oh, now we're hardlining. It's like, no, we're just making this a story. This is why Marvel is so good at this. Because you don't even think about it, except you like afterwards, you're like, oh, that's right. It wasn't that funny, but holy crap, Cap's shield is filled with blood, and things are going to get gnarly. Ugh.
They've touched on, the other thing is that they've touched on some of the different themes that are really important right now in America.
Yeah.
They touched on it with the scene in Baltimore where Sam and Bucky get into an argument and the cops profile Sam. They touched on it a little bit with the Isaiah character where he was experimented on and thrown in a cell because of his race. They've touched on it a little bit with like the the Flag Smashers and how they're like these sort of disparate refugees and things like that. Could you imagine, this might be a bridge too far, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Could you imagine if the guy that Cap had killed had been a black guy?
Man, like, I mean, obviously they knew what they were doing, not doing something like that, but yeah, that would have been,
because like, if they're really,
would have been, what is funny is it would have been woke, but almost like too woke in a way. It's like, then man, Russell would have been in it though. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like they probably knew that there was gonna be some Russell hate one way or the other, but then that happens and you're like, oh no.
That's what I mean as far as it maybe being a bridge too far. But I just wonder, especially with everything just in the last 12 months, and just hell in the last couple weeks, it was. I feel like it's like they want to play with these themes a little bit, but they don't want to go too far into it.
Well, you just honestly, like, I don't want to say it'd be nice, but like
at the end of the day, it's still a superhero movie, or
it's still a superhero movie, right? And
so
like you can only go so far before you're like just saying, let's just not care about anything and get into this.
Well, I mean, even Black Panther touched on some of that stuff a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the next couple episodes. The full heel turn of John Walker but it's going to be interesting to see if like the government still supports him as being Captain America. You know what I mean?
But he's got the serum now too,
right? So he's going to
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I did see a still frame from the trailer of him kind of in a showdown with Bucky and Sam, and it really gives you that feel of Bucky and Cap and Tony in Civil War. So that's going to be, I mean, look, this show was always pointing towards that showdown. Now, I will say that I've seen buzz online that there's supposed to be a major cameo in
I've heard
episode
that too,
5.
yeah.
So with that being said, Paul Bettany teased a major cameo and it was just himself.
Right.
So with that in mind, any predictions?
Major cameo in this one. I will say, I'm going to go, I think it is going to be Shuri at the end of the day. I think we will get a Shuri, like, Wakanda thing coming in. And maybe it's just to give them, like, another, like, super weapon or something. Like, that they've developed to fight something like this. I'm going to say Shuri, just because everyone loves her.
Right.
And I do think you want a connection. I think everyone wants a connection to the Black Panther franchise that we, recognize.
Right.
So I'm going to say Shuri.
We already got Rhodey, so I don't think it's him. Mm-hmm. Although that would be an easy one. But then I wouldn't say that they would make it call it a major cameo. And I've also seen this theory online, and I think I'm going to go with it and run. I think it's going to be Thunderbolt Ross. And I think that he's the power broker.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. We'll see. We're probably both full of shit. As we were every time we made a prediction about WandaVision.
Right.
Fully acknowledge that. We were 0 for the century.
So was everyone else, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is very true.
Better on us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. So getting down to the nitty gritty here with Falcon and Winter Soldier, 2 episodes left. They promise to be high intensity and action packed. Getting down to the nitty gritty here as well with number 3, The Challenge, Double Agents, episode 17. TJ enters the house at the ass crack of dawn and wakes the agents and tells all the pairs they must choose one partner to go with him. All of the men, assuming that this is the hard part, choose themselves. Later in the morning, the females are told they must run 5 miles into a frozen volcano, solving math problems along the way, retrieve their partners, run back, then solve a puzzle. Cam rescues Corey first and solves the puzzle with ease to become the power team. The real shocker was that Amber B does not solve the first math problem at all, and all the teams finish before she can rescue Fessy. She went on to explain on social media that she has a form of number dyslexia called dyscalculia. Okay. Knowing that it looks like Kyle will be the one of the challengers in the elimination, Leroy starts politicking to not go in, and Corey convinces Fessy to nominate himself as the house vote so that, should he win, he can steal Casey, giving him a better shot at the final than if he stays with Amber. Fessy chooses to do so, but not before he decides to write and read a truly bizarre letter to the house that Leroy and Kyle eviscerate in hilarious fashion in the confessional booth. The elimination is a best of 5 hall brawl, which turns out to be a best of 1. As Fessy collides with Kyle, Kyle looks at one of his fingers and realizes it's perpendicular to the rest of his fingers, and it is a medical disqualification. Fessy steals Casey as planned. Leroy goes with Nani. Amber. That's a Nani Amber. Leroy goes with Nani. Amber gets paired with CT, and Corey is with Cam, as the final will begin next week. I am Fessy. I am a competitor.
The robot thing was it was so weird because I'm like, why does he sound like I literally was like, he sounds like your phone talking back to you when he's reading it. It was so weird. I'm like, why is he doing this? Like, everyone knows he's stupid. You don't have to write a letter. Just say a couple things. And it's just like it made him sound dumber than he already is, and then everyone's ripping on him. And it's so Fessy. I guess at the end of the day, it's like actually what he is. Like, he doesn't realize how stupid he is, so he does something to make him look even dumber. That was my biggest takeaway from the show. I thought the show was actually very boring up until that letter. But the letter, I was like fully engaged because I'm like, this is hilarious. This is it might be one of like the top 10 dumbest moments on this entire thing ever. Because it's so dumb. And he sounds and everybody's like ripping him. It just, it was so funny. And he just, I wonder if he like had to like figure out how to spell his name. That was one thing I was like confused. Like, I wonder how he spelled it, because he probably spelled it phonetically because he didn't actually know how to spell it.
I mean, wouldn't it work phonetically?
Maybe he went like PH.
But maybe
he doesn't know what the F sound. Maybe he doesn't know what the F sound is.
The letter was funny. I think Kyle would have beaten Leroy in a hall brawl.
It would have been close.
It would have been close.
That was shady. That was shady though. That whole thing going down. That was
What,
weird.
him busting his finger up?
No, not him busting. Like the way that everybody was like, "Oh, well, we'll do this and this and this," and then he finally gets thrown in. Like,
Yeah, I didn't include.
There's nothing new with that, but
yeah, I didn't include any of that in the summary because it was just kind of a non-factor.
right. His
like,
finger was crushed though.
his finger was messed up. Like seriously, it was. I can't remember if it was his pointer finger, his ring finger, or his middle finger. It was definitely one of those three. But it was like it was an L.
I think it was his ring finger. I'm looking at my hand. It was his ring finger. It was like I can't.
It looked like the number 7.
It
looked like the number 7.
It was bad. It was real bad.
But
he's
not
like laughing about it.
Yeah.
Kudos to
well,
him,
I
though.
think that
Like,
was
he's
just
a tough
shock.
dude.
Like he was in shock.
Yeah, and kudos to him. Like I mean, he wanted to get back in there. And you know he's a tough dude. Obviously, he has like tats up his neck.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of like we always say like, oh, Fessy's this big athlete, or you know Josh is this big strong guy or whatever. But and CT's got the dad bod. But CT has been in fights, so he knows how to handle. I feel like Kyle's probably been in some dust ups. Just look
Kyle
at the guy.
has
Just look
been
at him.
in some. Kyle has been in, I would say, no less than 10 fights.
Yeah.
Actual fights too,
In
where like
pubs.
he's been punched, he's punched some people. You know, actual fights where people got involved to like break them up for sure.
Yeah.
100%. You don't have.
Kyle's been in some dust ups for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Fessy's been in a fight in his entire life.
No,
No way.
not with that haircut.
No, not with that haircut. Just not with his actual. Like he does. It's that whole thing. Like you know, you're ready to get into a fight until you get punched in the mouth. I do wish someone would just punch Fessy in the mouth.
Yeah.
I honestly was thinking this whenever like teachers like play fair, and I said to
because of the
myself,
Nelson thing.
right. But what I was like saying to myself is like I wish because Kyle, you know, in something like that, you just don't have a chance against Fessy.
Right.
I mean, it's just we've talked
So
about
just
this
do
before.
whatever.
And I said to myself because I was making dinner while I'm watching, it's like just punch him in the mouth.
Yeah.
You'll get 1 DQ and then you have 4 of the rounds. But if you punch him in the mouth, he might just not know what to
Back
do.
down.
He's
Yeah.
never been punched in the mouth before,
Right.
and it's just like I would love. It's so weird for me because I don't normally like really. I'll make fun of people on this
Right.
show, but I hate Fessy. Like I am actively rooting against him because I just cannot stand this amount of arrogance for someone that has not been on the show that long, who thinks he's hot crap when he's done nothing. And
That makes it a good watch, though.
oh, right. No, I
Because,
love him being. This
like,
is the thing.
he's definitely playing
love
the
him
villain
being
role.
on the show.
Yeah.
I love him being on the show. Hope he's on forever.
Right.
Because I will never ever. There's no chance I can dislike
Like,
someone more than him.
Like, line these two people up together, and there's definitely one of them that you can tell is just more of a guy that you'd want to hang out with. But I want Fessy on the show more than, say, like, Kahada.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fessy is probably my top 3 people I'd want on the show.
Right. Well, top 4. I want Banana, CT, and Wes every season.
Okay, yeah, okay. I was thinking, I actually kind of, the reason what I was thinking is that Bananas is always kind of my, like, outlier.
Yeah, sure.
Where,
See,
of
I'm a
course
Johnny
you want
Bananas
him.
guy through and through.
We're both.
Yeah.
We want bananas everywhere. Throw me bananas anytime you can give me bananas. It's great. It's great in a shake, and it's great on the challenge. Yeah.
Have you started to watch All Stars yet?
I haven't yet.
Oh, man.
I was
I'm
playing
telling
2
you.
this week, and then
When
this happened.
We won't get into it any further than there's a it's from the first episode. There's a shot of Arissa coming out of the water that if you put like a filter over it to make it like a grainy 60s movie, it would look like the fucking creature from the Black Lagoon. 100%. It's like disturbing.
I don't want that.
Oh, you're getting it.
I will.
You gotta
I will
watch
get
that.
it. Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So we're down to like the last 2 episodes. We're gonna have to. I have some ideas, but we're gonna have to find another, ongoing topic for the summer to fill the challenge slot in the 6-pack.
We'll figure out something. Maybe we should move our moves to like Bravo, something like that. You ever
No.
watch any of those, like
Nope.
Southern Charm or something?
No,
Oh, they're
we
great
could do
shows,
Big Brother.
dude. I'll do Big Brother. I don't really care.
We'll see. We'll figure it out.
This is the thing with me. I actually don't care.
Right.
Like, I'll watch whatever you tell me to watch, and I'll get mad about it. I'll get mad about anything. So
We'll figure something out. I have a few
that's
ideas.
the great thing about me. I can get mad and excited literally about anything.
Right.
Also, it makes me stressed out constantly. But there we go.
It's a rough way to live your life.
So now we'll move on to PlayStation. And there's an article in Bloomberg that came out about, PlayStation is producing games that are too big to fail, and it's a big concern. And in the Bloomberg article, which if you search it, the easiest way to search it is literally just Bloomberg and PlayStation, because I did it to make sure people could find it. You'll find it. In a Bloomberg article, we learned that there is trouble in the first-party Sony PlayStation family. What many may not know is that aside from the big studios that produce blockbuster critical and commercial hits for Sony, like Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica, there are lesser tier studios such as Sony Bend or Media Molecule, as well as support studios such as ICE, Initiative for the Common Engine, and the Visual Arts Service Groups that work as support studios for the big boys. In the article, we learned that a team at Visual Arts was ready to split off and become its own separate studio. In the article, it is revealed that in 2017, the team pitched along some remakes, originally planning a ground-up remake of 2007's Drake Deception, and then settling on a remake of 2013's The Last of Us. Fan favorite. Sony did not acknowledge the team's existence and did not fund their projects, and eventually kicked the remake of The Last of Us back to Naughty Dog, after the team at Visual Arts would move over to help Naughty Dog finish The Last of Us 2. The priority on the teams putting out the blockbuster hits has impacted mid-tier studios as well. Sony Bend pitched Days Gone 2 as a shared world narrative multiplayer game, and it was turned down. Instead, Jim Ryan, CEO and head of Worldwide Studios Herman Hulse, put Bend to work on a new Uncharted game and on The Last of Us 2 multiplayer. Fearing that Ben would be absorbed into Naughty Dog, they asked to be taken off Uncharted and last month set to work on a new game. At this point, it seems Sony is averse to taking risks and does not put out a great deal of marketing behind smaller projects. For example, Dreams from Media Molecule, a game which boasts robust creation tools in the same vein as Roblox, which just went public to the tune of $45 billion in investments, got minimal marketing outside of hardcore audiences. The moves being made make one question if Sony is on the right track to meet the demands of the hungry fans who continue to buy PS5s at a record pace. So, I read the article. Super gnarly. I never thought about this, but then you read it, you're like, well, this kind of makes sense. That this is what big companies do. They hang with other big companies.
But
you're the guy.
Company? What does that mean?
Yeah, like they don't care about the smaller companies. I think that's kind of what I think is that they're just throwing these smaller things aside.
Well,
to
let's
keep with their base.
I put in here too that I think that there's some vocabulary in the story that needs kind of unpacked.
Sure.
To better explain the story for folks who maybe don't know some of the terminology, and it'll help this make sense a little bit. So Sony Worldwide Studios is the first party. Okay, a first party game is a game made by a studio that Sony owns and is published by Sony. Okay, so that would include any of the studios. So the studio makes the game, Sony publishes the game, right? So the studios that make the game in the first party, that make up the first party are, I know that there's going to be some that I miss because they're really small teams, but Sony San Diego, they make MLB The Show. Naughty Dog, which is most famous for Uncharted and The Last of Us. Sony Santa Monica makes the God of War series. Sucker Punch Studios, they originally made Sly Cooper, then they moved on to the infamous series. Most recently, they made Ghost of Tsushima. Insomniac, which was the most recent purchased first-party studio, makes Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. Sony Bend, which is in Bend, Oregon, that's why it's called Sony Bend, used to make the Siphon Filter games back in the day, and most recently made Days Gone. Polyphony makes Gran Turismo. Media Molecule made all the Little Big Planet games. Sony London makes like these weird like like Let's Dance. You ever seen the Let's Dance games? Yeah, they make games like that. They do some VR stuff. Guerrilla Games, which is in Denmark, I want to say. It's over in Europe somewhere. They made the Killzone games, and then most recently the Horizon games. You got Studio Japan that makes some smaller games like Gravity Rush. Everybody Loves Golf. They help out on some other things. Media Molecule, I covered them. They made Dreams, blah, 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 blah. I think that's all the ones that I can remember. Okay, so those are all the first-party studios. Those are the studios that make the big tentpole first-party games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, all of those. Okay. Second-party games are made by studios that are not owned by Sony, but Sony gives them money and then publishes the game, and then therefore they own the IP. The most recent example of this would have been Insomniac with Spider-Man, where Sony owned the Spider-Man IP and Insomniac made the game, but then obviously Insomniac was purchased and brought in the first-party family. Third-party games are games that are made by just outside studios, outside publishers. This would be anything like Madden, Call of Duty, games like that. So that kind of gives you a breakdown of all those things. Support studios are studios that are smaller that just work in supporting roles, obviously, like ICE Initiative for the Common Engine. They work out of Naughty Dog in Los Angeles. And they deal with the engines that are used in PlayStation games. Another good example of support studios would be there's a studio that's owned by Activision Blizzard called Raven, and all they do is map packs for Call of Duty games. That's all they do. That's their job. Okay. And then the marketing is important because it's like not only is it seeing in commercials and online press and things like that, but it's also how they position things on the storefront, on the online storefront. Okay, so you have this game Dreams from Media Molecule. It's a game creation tool like Roblox, right? So we were in the group thread with Bob Sacamano, I don't know, a month and a half ago or so, and he says, "What's Roblox?" And I'm like, I don't have any idea because I'm not a 10-year-old, because it's like for little kids.
Right.
But that's what it is. It's a game maker, basically. And they went public with their company and it $45 billion. You know what I mean? So the real problem in this whole story is that right now Sony's not taking any risks with new games. They're making The Last of Us multiplayer. They're going to remake Uncharted. They're going to remake the original Last of Us. There's no risks being taken there. And I told you at the beginning to keep that little quote from Torrio in the Batman versus Superman thing about people who are not filmmakers or film friendly or film fans making decisions about films. Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, is not a gamer. He doesn't play games. He doesn't know anything about games. All he knows is money. That's it.
Right.
And so, The Last of Us, great game. 240 Game of the Year awards. The Last of Us Part 2, 260 Game of the Year awards, whatever, 270 by now. Bring in a lot of money. Well, let's just keep milking that cow until it doesn't have any milk left. You know what I mean? But the problem is that when you had people who were in charge that were gamers, like, Herman Holst was the big dog over at Guerrilla Studios until he was promoted. He replaced a Japanese man as head of Worldwide Studios, a guy named Shuhei Yoshida. And Jim Ryan replaced a guy by the name of Sean Layden, who was the CEO of SIE. They played games. They knew what games were. These are the guys who greenlit games like The Last of Us. The Last of Us was a huge risk. It was a huge risk. It's graphically violent. It's extremely dark. It's not anything that Naughty Dog ever made before. Everybody was used to Naughty Dog making Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter. They took a huge risk, and look how it paid off. So the problem is like when it becomes just all about money, you get retreads, you get remakes, you get sequels. It's all the stuff that we talk about with the movies all the time. They're making a live-action Pinocchio with Tom Hanks starring as Geppetto. Make something new. Make something new.
Do you think this ends up hurting
Yes.
PlayStation. Okay,
Yes.
Sony, PlayStation. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. Like, this seems weird that they just don't want to do anything new. And they like they don't want to take anything outside. They don't want anything. I mean, I guess my big question, like movies, I get it because you put like, hundreds of millions of dollars into a movie maybe some point. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the exact production value of like making games, but like if you take a risk, it feels like most of the time it would probably like at least equal out. I mean, if you promote it like you should with a game, and if the game concept, like if you're confident that the game concept is cool, then it'll work out, like The Last of Us or something like that. I just don't understand I wonder what made this such a change of like, I mean, I understand the guys aren't video game people that deal with this now, but it's just like, I guess what will end up happening is eventually rehashing things won't work, and then they'll be like, that's what's going to happen with movies, is that eventually like rehashing things won't work, and then we have to do something different, and that's probably what's going to happen. But it's just so odd. I mean, like video games always seem like a place where you could always come up with something new and weird.
Right. Yeah. 100%. There's so many games out there that are just off the beaten path that are, they're strange and they're beautiful in that way that are just, they don't make sense. And like, that's the thing about the original Last of Us. It took everybody by surprise. You know what I mean? For clarification, The Last of Us Part 2's budget was $100 million. So that was that. They made that back in about 28 seconds whenever the game came out.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's nothing.
But I guess it's like you have studios out there, whether they be Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation owned, third party, whatever, Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption just pushes the boundaries of what's possible on these machines. You know what I mean? And like The Last of Us, the original Last of Us was a PlayStation 3 game. It didn't make sense that it played on PlayStation 3. It was just it looked so good. It played so well. The story was so complex, everything about it. And it came out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I said, Naughty Dog was famous for making Crash and Jak and Daxter and then Uncharted. It came out of nowhere, and it was a risk. It was a huge risk. And I just feel like, yes, to answer your question, and that's the thing, is they're putting so much stock in these quote unquote too big to fail games because they're these huge blockbuster things. But the result is they're not willing to experiment with smaller things. Like Days Gone, for example. Days Gone. And here's the thing about that is that I think eventually we will see Days Gone 2 because it had a long burn, whereas like The Last of Us or God of War was real hot right from the jump. But Days Gone had a very long burn to it. Plus, they just ported it to PC like in the last few months, and it's a free PlayStation Plus game this month. So I feel like they're seeing. You know what I mean? They're kind of testing the waters for that. I fully believe that we'll see Days Gone too. It's just one of those things, man, and it's just the same as, like I said, the same as the movies is. I want risks. You know what I mean? I love playing games that are just unusual. I'll play, like, a lot of times, with me, I play everything. I don't just play Call of Duty or, Fortnite or Madden or whatever. I play everything. I'll play games that only take me an hour to beat. You know what I mean? If they're interesting. And I feel like they're missing a lot of opportunity to sort of make these smaller creative type endeavors.
I would think too, I would think that you're more of like what like true gamers are, and the people actually spending the money is like, because if all you're playing is like 3 games, you're not the ones making money for the company. So that's weird to me. Like, true gamers are gonna like want to get out there and make. I understand there's like add-ons and stuff, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like the worst thing is throwing a little bit of money out there, and it'll probably break even if the game concept is cool enough. Which, $100 million is a lot of money. It seems like, but like you said, that was made up in no time.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing
that's
too.
Worldwide,
is that dollars, money talks, right? And Call of Duty's the best selling game every year. Every single year. So
yeah, it's just weird to me. Like, people just, that's it, and then nothing else. I mean,
or the fact that everybody has talked shit on Madden for the last 20 years, basically, for not being any different every year, of it basically just being a roster update with a fresh coat of paint on it. But
And
guess
then they still
what?
play it.
Well, guess what? Madden still charts in the top 10 every year. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
money talks, and I do get that, but I do think that there's space to take some risks, and I hope that there's people around the internet saying that they need to just get rid of Jim Ryan, and I don't necessarily disagree with that.
It'll probably happen once money doesn't start, piling up, which will happen if you don't make.
If they don't make some changes very quickly, they're going to get their ass handed to them by Microsoft this generation. Period.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. They're already so far behind with stuff right now. Like everybody's
That's the thing is they're not behind on hardware. They're very
not
far
behind
ahead.
on hardware, but it's just like they're not. There's no games.
Well, there's no games for either system.
Right,
really.
but it's just weird to me that they you feel like now you would just want to take a chance on something just to have new game out there. Here's a new PS5 game that no one's ever heard of, but it's new.
Yeah, I don't know. It's COVID slowed everything down and everything,
right.
but I see anecdotally a lot of stories of people trading their PS5s in and buying Xboxes, and I don't see a lot of anecdotal evidence that the reverse is happening.
Sure.
So, number 5, remembering Prince Philip, gone too soon. Gone too soon. He was 99. The Duke of Edinburgh died April 9th at age 99. Prince Harry left the States to pay tribute while Meghan Markle stayed stateside near Greg's current residence and place of work, Montecito. The Duke was known for having put his foot in his mouth several times in a rocky relationship with Princess Diana. But here at the BXG podcast, we're here for the positive. So Greg has rounded up some fun facts about the late Prince.
So I originally thought about doing something different, but then someone I work with, Paul, just a legend of the game, he presented something to me, and that'll be the final one because I want to end with the best. But I found up, I actually got a Telegraph, the newspaper. I got a subscription to the Telegraph just to round up some fun facts. I'm not going to read all 10 of them because whatever. I will read the ones that were like the most hilarious to me and like, in a weird way. I think my favorite one is that the prince, married, he met the queen, still the queen, and she's 1 billion years old, when he was 14 and she was 8. So there we go. And
like 100 years ago.
Like 100 years ago, and at a wedding of his cousin, and they're and I think people knew this, but I'll say it anyhow. They're distant cousins. They were both great grandchildren of Queen Victoria. So that's a fun little fact there. A little fun fact. I will also say that Prince Philip was decorated for his service with the Royal Navy, and I like this because a couple years ago he was still driving at 97, and I think if I'm not mistaken, he wrecked his Range Rover. They just let him drive at 97. And they just gave him a powerful vehicle to drive around. So that was fun. He was decorated for World War II stuff. His wartime scenes he also achieved a Greek War Cross of Valor, so that's cool. I'm gonna do one more before I get to the grand finale, and this is a good one. This is as he was born. He was born on a kitchen table in Corfu at the Villa Monrepos. This is the Greeks' royal summer home. Royals' Greek summer home. In June 10th, 1921, which it's like, man, he almost made it to 100.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what could he have done? Maybe like one less,
driven
something.
a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, something like that. Drove a sturdier vehicle or something. But my favorite, this is what brought this topic on. A tribe that worshiped Prince Philip begins week-long mourning ceremony.
I'm sorry, you said a tribe?
A tribe. Okay. Yep. A
Called
tribe
Quest.
in the remote island. I'm going to just maybe read this entire article. Who knows? But I got this from Yahoo News. A tribe in the remote island nation of Vanuatu, who revered Prince Philip as a god, has begun a weeks-long formal mourning period. Based in villages on the island of Tana, the group believed Prince Philip to be a reincarnation of an ancient warrior who left the island to fight a war, according to the Associated Press. Chief Iapa of the Aikunala village, Tana, said the connection between the people on the island of Tana and the English people is very strong.
Where is this island located?
It is let's see, island nation of Vanuatu. Who knows? Let's see. Island, it's probably one of those ones where it's like you just don't even really want to know where it's at.
Were they cannibals?
Maybe. It looks beautiful. It is in the Coral Sea, South Pacific. So it's in the South Pacific by the Coral Sea.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. And incredible stuff. This country worshiped this guy as a god, and that's what brought this on, because they think he has a connection to something that, like, literally, that's it. They just think this. He's believed it. He started. It started in the 1960s when Vanuatu was an Anglo-French colony, of course. And Villagers Time likely saw portraits of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip at government offices and police stations before he visited the island in 1974.
I just saw this. I looked up a picture of this guy. He's looked old for 50 freaking years.
Yeah, he's been old forever, because he's been old forever. He was 99. And yeah, so I just thought that was hilarious. I mean, you don't hear that often, and British royalty stuff it just cracks me up all the time. So when I found that out, I was like, I was going to make this like a quick hitter, but I was like, no, it's fun to bring up these little fun facts and then just hit us with that. I mean, it's like, it's like a single, double, and then just like, kaboom, home run. Island nation of Vanuatu in the South Pacific reveres this guy as a god. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Our young prince.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing in this world makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't. So we'll move on. But like I said, rest in Prince.
Rest in peace to the young Prince Philip.
He was 99, and there's so much stuff about him. Okay. I don't ever want to make it to 99. That's too many years. So this is a fun segment that we're doing now. Movie news roundup. So rumors are circulating that Warner Media could be caught between the rock and a hard place.
Boom!
With the star, boom! Pachow! With the star of the upcoming DC film Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson pushing behind doors to restore the Snyderverse. So funny. Further speculation is that The Rock and his production company, $7 Production, could foot the project bill for Man of Steel 2. At this point, this all remains conjecture, but if the rumors prove true, it would be interesting if Warner Media tells the most influential movie star in the world to kick rocks. A lot of rock puns, but that's funny. I mean, I don't know how you make Dwayne Johnson the headline of a Henry Cavill Man of Steel thing, but
Producer,
yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be funny. That's gonna be weird.
He wants to make the movie,
He'll do it. It'll be weird. I don't know how you even do it. I'm not sure.
I feel like
it'll be weird.
We're not doing video, but I feel like he walks into the Warner Brothers studio and says, "I want to make this movie," and they say no, and he just
raises the eyebrow.
He just pops the eyebrow, and they're like, "All right, fine."
Yeah, I'm sure. I think at the end of the day, Warner has to do something. So,
yeah, if it's we'll see. We're gonna be talking Snyder Cut, Snyderverse stuff for at least the next year.
It's a new cyberspace.
Cyberpunk.
Snyder cyberspace. We need the Snyder Cut of the cyberspace 2077.
Cyberpunk.
I'm sorry, Cyberpunk. Yeah. I was looking.
We talked about it for that long, and you couldn't remember the name.
No, I looked over at the Space Jam thing the next time.
You need to lay off the peyote.
I do. Maybe I was just trying to forget Cyberpunk. Lola Bunny will be voiced by Zendaya in the upcoming Space Jam film. That's cool. I like Zendaya, so I'm good with that. And just, hopefully Pepe Le Pew makes an appearance.
Release the Pepe Cut.
Release the Pepe Cut. Netflix and Sony have agreed to a deal that will bring all Sony films exclusively to stream on Netflix, including any upcoming Spider-Man projects. That's good.
Yeah, this was a big deal just in the fact that because Sony doesn't have their own streaming platform, they needed to sign with somebody, and that deal got done. So for at least the next 5 years, Sony is going to, Netflix is going to be the official streaming home of all Sony picture properties, including any Spider-Man related things, including Spider-Verse 2.
Woo! Warner Brothers confirms that 2022 features will debut exclusively in theaters.
Yeah, there was a lot of pushback from the studios about the hybrid
Yeah.
release stuff with the
Yeah.
HBO Max, but they're saying that everything's going to be. I don't find it. I find it, or I should say, it's an interesting little coincidence that this was stated after the whole MonsterVerse thing, and that there's no more planned MonsterVerse movies, and that Legendary and Warner aren't playing nicely with each other. And a big reason why was because of the hybrid releases.
Yeah.
And I just find that to be just a little bit of a coincidence that this news comes out, a week after that movie comes out.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it also just, not to sound, and I stay at home. I don't do anything, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, 2022 seems appropriate. I mean, at that point, you would hope that things are at least mostly back to normal. I mean, that's just acting positive, and that's not taking a risk saying that. That's a non-risk thing. Marvel confirms there will be no Chadwick Boseman cameo in Black Panther 2 via CG recreation or unused footage. That's good. I don't think that'd be weird if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, Disney famously recreated through digital CG stuff Peter Cushing to be Grand Moff Tarkin, and Princess Leia de-aged, and then obviously they de-aged Mark Hamill. But the de-aging things for Leia and Mark Hamill, or Luke Skywalker, were Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were both still alive.
Right. That's different than just throwing a guy in there.
Yeah.
And then Zack Snyder gets another appearance on the show. Army of the Dead trailer. The movie drops on Netflix May 21st. And
Did you see this?
Yeah, and he says like this isn't going to be like this is a separate thing, and I'm.
Did you watch the
like
trailer?
I like who's in it, so I think that'll be fun.
Little
I think
Dave
the movie
Bautista.
will be Dave Bautista, yeah. I think the movie will be fun. I don't know, who knows if it'll be like good. It'll be a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah,
that's what it's gonna be.
It looked interesting. It's like a bank heist zombie movie.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on around that time. We'll probably review it.
I think we probably should. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have off the top of. I don't know if there's anything. May 21st. I know that is. It's my son's birthday, but
oh, nice. May
quick
babies.
Quick hitter time. Number one, live action Powderpuff Girls TV series begins filming.
Awesome.
Is it?
I don't.
That's got CW written all over it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'll be 100%. A hit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
EA patents adaptive difficulty system that will scale AI difficulty game with the goal of keeping you playing longer.
So this was actually this was in the 6-pack until the Bloomberg article dropped.
Yeah,
so
that
this
makes
was
sense.
like a thing where it's supposed to scale the difficulty of the game to try to keep you progressing in the game so that you're interested in playing longer. So like Greg, who plays Ratchet and Clank every other day for 10 minutes, is able to make a little bit more progress. Maybe it keeps him on for 20 minutes, that sort of thing. They're not going to suck any more time out of me. So in the past week, we lost famed rapper DMX passed away, overdose, and then was on life support.
It's gonna give it to you.
Yeah, his first two albums, man, are just classic.
I forgot, albums. I went back and listened to them, and I was like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed DMX.
Yeah. Those first two.
Life,
he did have a very rough life.
No, I wasn't even trying to have a pun there. That was just
Yeah. No, he did have a rough life, but very talented guy. I think very inspirational. The video of him riding the roller coaster at Universal Studios with his daughter has been making the rounds. It's kind of a tearjerker, but we wish the best for his family, obviously.
Sure do.
Yeah, the first two albums, man, It's Dark and Hell is Hot and Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood are great classic rap albums.
If you haven't gone back, and I played that for just people. I would just play it in the store before we open and stuff, and I would just play it, and I was like, people are getting down.
Rough Riders Anthem, classic.
Super, it's great. So listen to DMX if you haven't. San Diego Comic-Con would like to host a small in-person event around Thanksgiving. That makes sense.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. Probably will happen if, things go as planned going forward.
I'm not pinning my hopes to anything at this point. I'm just
No. You should.
That's what it is. Yeah. That'd be cool, but I'm not holding my breath. But this Saturday I'll be fully vaxxed. Jackson vaxxed. And you're out of that window, right? Because you got the J&J one. You're out of the target window for the potential harmful.
I'm good. Nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
So
other than you got more awesome.
Well, yeah, I got baby oil in my veins.
Well, yeah, there you go. Kim and Kanye agree to joint custody of their children.
Yeah, it seems like a bad rap for their children, but there you go.
I guess I didn't know. I knew that their one kid was named North.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one of their kids was named True West.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it doesn't
What's the other
actually
one? South
matter.
by South?
It's so weird. It's so funny. Like, when Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin had their kid Apple, people, like, freaked out. And it's like, Apple's not actually a bad name. And people actually named their kid Apple, like, for years before that. That just happened to be a weird thing.
Elon Musk named his kid something that has, like, 7.
Yeah, it's letters and numbers.
It's there's, like, an ampersand in there and a percent sign.
It doesn't matter. People are just, like, the thing is, at the end of the day, a lot of times you just get a nickname anyhow, so it doesn't even matter. So
sometimes.
Yeah, if you have a weird name is what I'm saying. Like if you have like a name that's long or something, like
like Aloysius.
Nobody calls you anything. Yeah, that's a good name though. If I knew someone not named Aloysius, I would just call them that all the time. They're like, well, you can call me Ali, and I'm like, no, I'm calling you Aloysius. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Worry about that. I'm always a fan of calling someone by their baptismal name until they tell me not to. So, I would, like you're Breton, but you're like, well, you can call me Brent, which you would never have done. But I'm just saying, if you would have told me that, no, I'd be like, I would just call you Brenton.
Right.
I prefer that.
Yeah, and I have I hate being called Brent, and
that'd be super weird.
My boss called me my
boss
at my first real job called me Brent for 6 years, and I told him, I was like, I prefer it. Nope, doesn't matter.
So bad.
Yeah. That's kind of a power move to just be like, hey, I prefer to go by, William. All right, Bill.
All right, Bill.
Like what? Excuse me?
I mean, I have a name that like I don't have a preference. I actually don't. I don't care. You can call me Gregory. You can call me Craig. But if I like did have a preference, it's weird that I don't have a preference because I'm so weird about everything else.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Don't call me late for dinner. Yeah, and I say that, but I say it like I'm an asshole when I say that.
Anybody who says that says it like an asshole, whether they mean to say it like an asshole or not.
Right. And I go for it, but it's weird that I don't have a preference. I wish I did. Gosh, maybe I should make that a thing where I make it a preference and just figure out what I prefer. I probably prefer Gregory.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late now. Yeah. Get a new job. You're like, I prefer Gregory.
If you get a job at a fancy company, I think you have to go with Gregory.
I mean, my name in the newspapers was always Gregory.
There you go. It's official.
Yeah.
Media recommendations.
So we watched a Harrison Ford movie called Frantic, which is crazy, and I came up with this concept of like I mean, it's maybe out there, but I wish someone would just do like a just a clip of just Harrison Ford asking questions in movies. Because no one is more concerned when they ask a question in a movie than Harrison Ford. It's incredible. Just like if it isn't out there, maybe I need to make it. But this movie's crazy. Like his wife gets taken from him, so he like has to join up with. It's in France. It's in Paris. So it's like kind of like artsy, but then not artsy, and it's Harrison Ford asking questions, which I love. So that was fun. For the most part, mostly just internet things. Another movie I'll recommend is My Octopus Teacher. Super good if you haven't watched it.
That sounds like an anime porn.
It isn't. It's this filmmaker who he generally makes documentaries, and then he like kind of fell in love with the ocean. He like would swim every day, and he found
that guy.
He like He found this little octopus that was like awesome. And he like has this connection with this octopus, and it becomes like a connection with his son, and it's honestly it's really really good.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. What's this guy's name?
I don't want to say it because I don't want you to badmouth him.
No, just say I'm not going to badmouth him.
All right, no, I know. I mean, I gotta make sure I have it right because I want to make sure I say it right. No, Craig Foster. Okay,
Craig Foster's a piece of shit.
Oh, come on.
Anybody whose thing is that they fell in love with the ocean deserves to be thrown into the ocean and drown.
He'll do it. He did it gladly. He doesn't want to drown. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is amazing.
No,
I will say that it's amazing.
Nope.
You may not like it, but most people will. Then I've been with my infatuation with watching just cooking videos, and so I went from I'm still watching Allison Roman home movie. She had a new one out today that I just started, but came out later today. But Bon Appetit has some great stuff. Gourmet Makes with Claire Savitz, which I made a cake from recently, and we'll be making one this week for Janie's birthday this weekend. And I'll post it up. We'll put it on the BXG if it turns out looking good. I think it will. It's a coconut cake. It's very involved. 4 out of 5 on difficulty, so that's exciting. And Bon Appetit's It's Alive. These are older videos before the whole Bon Appetit scandal with stuff. I don't approve of that, but I approve of these videos. That scandal isn't super gnarly and not good, but they're a lot of fun. They're maybe like 15, 20 minutes, so you can just waste some time with that. But yeah. What about you?
I sent you from Nerdist.com. There's a glow-in-the-dark ethereal sea creature that is made up of smaller sea creatures. Yes. The ocean can seriously... I wish the sun would evaporate all the water in the ocean.
No, we need
and it's all the creatures in the ocean. I'm willing to die on that hill. I hate the ocean, man. So what's his name? Nathan Ferguson? Chris Henderson?
No, I'm not saying it again. So
he's a piece of shit.
No, he's awesome, and the movie's great.
And I hate him. I hate him, and I hate the ocean, and I hate his stupid octopus with its.
Then you might like the ending. You might like
good.
The ending,
I hope that it gets impaled with a harpoon. I hope that's the ending. I hope he does too. I've been reading Star Wars, Empire's End, the 3rd book of the Aftermath trilogy. I am. It's getting mid-April, and I haven't read my book for April, and I'm trying to read one book a month, so I've had to really buckle down, and I'm trying to get through that. But then I'm also playing this game called Immortals: Phoenix Rising, and it's a game that I'm playing. So it's like an Assassin's Creed type game. It's just very open world checkbox, go around and kill things.
We need to have a segment where it's what's happening in the ocean.
No. Nope.
Just something just so you can freak out. But I found this freaking fish that just emits lightning.
It's called an electric eel, and it can fuck off as well.
But you have to touch it. I want one that just shoots lightning at people. Just at people too. It doesn't shoot lightning at anything else. It just shoots lightning. It sees a person, and it's just done. This is Ninja Turtle game. It's the version of the Ninja Turtle game in the water. Still the toughest thing to me ever.
Yeah. I can confirm that the ocean is the worst place to be on planet Earth. You heard it here first. You want to talk about a film called Frantic? It's me anytime I get within 100 yards of the ocean.
I would say just talking about the ocean. That's Frantic.
Oh yeah, I don't get flustered easily, or I'm pretty even keeled. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. But when it comes to the ocean, it's the worst. It's the worst thing.
It's so funny.
It's the worst thing ever.
I'm flustered constantly, but I get by the ocean and I'm just like, that's fun.
Yeah, I don't
Soothing
get that
waters.
That's what sound machines are for. I'll take a sound machine of the ocean.
Okay.
The waves and the breeze, all that. Sure. Just don't get me in the damn thing or near it, Okay. So that was all that. BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Hawaiian, where they're surrounded
Aloha.
by ocean.
Aloha.
They're just surrounded by it.
Yeah, nothing but ocean there. It's beautiful, I guess. I haven't been there. I want to go, though. I'm going to go soon, hopefully.
Those poor people. And podcast services around the globe, services around the globe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Anchor, all that. YouTube.com/BXG Podcast. And this week the video will be of the Prince Philip, the Prince Philip
Gone
situation.
Too soon.
Yeah, right. I'm all flustered. So that'll be over there on YouTube. You can check out the episodes there as well, in just straight audio format on YouTube if you're one of those sociopaths. Instagram at BXG Podcast, at Y2B at GTFills, where we post just some of the things. I posted today a little DIY shelf I made for my Lego minifigures. It's pretty nice. Yeah, that was fun. It smelled terribly though of stain, so I can't put it up yet because I'll just get real high sleeping in the room tonight because that's where it is. So I had to take it off and put it in a separate room to kind of dry and get rid of the smell. Yeah, I mean, share. You know, we're doing a lot of cross promotional things lately. We had Dallas on a couple weeks ago. I'm going to be going on his again here in the next couple weeks.
Nice.
He texted me about that, and we're going to be doing tournament style. We're doing the extra episode next week for April for our top 10 animated films list. That should be pretty fun. I'm curious to see how much overlap we'll have, because I think there will probably be some, because just the whole Disney thing, right?
Sure.
But I think that I probably have enough like history with like anime that I'll probably slide some weird ones in there that we won't cross over too much on. But I think we'll definitely, there's probably, I can think of like 3 potential ones, but
that makes sense.
We'll see when we get there. But anyway, rate, subscribe, share, tell anybody that that likes MTV The Challenge, tell anybody that likes Marvel stuff, tell anybody that that likes Star Wars stuff, that likes video game stuff, that likes people talking shit on the Royals, that likes to hear about somebody who really hates the ocean, to listen to this podcast, because there's a little bit of something for everybody. You know what I mean? There's something for everybody.
If you just want to hear somebody ramble about just insanity and is nervous all the time too, that's fun. You can probably relate. Maybe you'll probably have a friend and be like, this sounds like my nervous friend. There you go. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tell your mothers
about the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care, friends.
Love you guys. Thanks for listening.